What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is officially the second episode of the Boy and the Bear podcast, and it feels good. It feels good to be back with the second episode of what I may have to tell you guys that we are the number one podcast on Twitch between the hours of 7:30 and 9:30, 100% of the time proven. Ship it, sell it out. That's a 100% fact. Poon, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, dude. It's not the only thing I ship around here, if you know what I mean.
So, I have to ask, how does it feel to be the second half of the number one podcast between the hours of 7:30 and 9:30?
You know, when I think about it, it's almost like it was our destiny, you know? Mm-hmm. I mean, we're just that damn good.
Alright, so before we get into talking about the podcast, I want to just remind all of you that this is a podcast, it's not a normal stream, so we have a lot of topics that we're going to discuss between Poon and I, so because of that, we're not going to be interacting with chat verbally, but if one of us is talking, the other one will probably respond to messages in the chat. But for the most part, this is just going to be a conversation between Poon and I about various topics that you guys can listen to and interact with us, etc., etc. So, with that being said, Poon, we had our first ever podcast. Last Friday. How do you feel it went in all seriousness?
I mean, in all seriousness, I think it was pretty fucking successful, honestly. Like, we had a really good number of people come in. We kept around 100 viewers the whole time, which was pretty nice. And obviously, we were number one on Twitch during the whole time in the podcast section. So let's put a fucking rocket on our back. We're shooting to the moon.
So, does that make you feel like now we have to live up to that expectation, or do you feel like that's just setting the bar for things to come?
I mean, I think it's setting the bar, honestly. I just don't think there's anyone on Twitch that has a podcast that can be as entertaining as us, honestly. There's just nobody.
Okay.
Name a more iconic duo.
I'm struggling.
Yep. You just can't.
Alright, so as people pour in here, we'll probably just start up on our conversations now. So, because we had a successful podcast last time, we are, of course, looking to increase the quality of it, and because we've decided that we're doing this every Friday, that there's certain things that we want to set up going forward. So, some things that we want to set up going forward is games that we can play between the two of us, certain ways of implementing chat into the stream. So, do you want to name some of the things that we've been talking about?
Yeah, I mean, we have some ideas coming that, you know, I think would be pretty fun for everyone. I don't want to go into too much detail right now, but just know that, you know, we're working pretty hard on coming up with ideas for you guys to, you know, so you guys can win some things, have some nice interactions with us while we're trying to do it. I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. So we actually have a lot of things that we're planning on doing for this podcast in particular. Last time we kind of just like had a rough outline for the things we wanted to talk about, and just kind of let it flow, let the magic flow. But this time we actually have real topics with real research that we've done so it's going to be a little more structured in what we're going to talk about. But something that Poon suggested to me before we started this podcast is he wanted to ask me some questions. I don't know what the questions are, but did you want to do the interview thing now? Interview style?
Yeah, I think we could do that now.
Okay.
So yeah, I came up with a couple questions. I just wanted to ask Dylan, aka Electro, just to kind of let you guys know a little bit more about him. Maybe he can open up a little bit more. We can talk about some things that you know, might be fun for you guys to learn.
Yep. And Poon is like my encyclopedia. So he, if there's one man who knows a lot about me, it's gonna be Poon. So he probably knows the questions that'll hit me right where it matters.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and just start that off.
Okay.
First, I just want to ask you how you're feeling.
About the podcast or just in general?
Just in general. How are you doing?
I am doing really good. One thing that I guess I could talk about, I wasn't really planning on it, but in the moment I guess I'll talk about it, is that, something a lot of people don't know about me, and about you a little bit, but mostly about me, is that I have a lot of really bad anxiety issues, and, it's hard to understand exactly how that goes as a streamer because, and especially my kind of streamer where I interact with chat a lot and try to have a confident, energetic energy when I'm streaming, but a lot of the time, I get hit with a lot of anxiety, and that causes me to just I kind of have to just look past it and push past it, and that can be really draining on me emotionally and mentally. So because of that, today in particular after stream I had a lot of anxiety and was actually having kind of a challenging time, but now that we're live and we're on the podcast, it's feeling a lot better, and I'm excited and ready for the podcast. So I'm feeling a lot better.
It's good. Going more into how you said you have anxiety and stuff like that. I don't know if people were here earlier today while Dylan was streaming League, but there was a topic brought up about Tourette's. And Dylan, you obviously have a mild form of Tourette's.
Yep. With
facial tics and stuff like that. And I wanted to touch on that a little bit tonight while we talk. Yeah. I know you made a Reddit post about it.
Yeah, so it's pretty much the most frequently asked question on my stream. I've probably answered it 50 times in different ways. Probably more than that, actually. Why do I have facial tics? Why, different questions about it. Some people don't know how to go about asking that question because they don't want to be rude. They don't know if I'm sensitive about it. They don't know any of that. But basically, when it comes down to my tics, I have a lot of facial ones, and I've always had them throughout my life. But I have facial tics that don't really bother me, but it's more of just a nuisance. It's not anything super influential in my life. Besides, sometimes when I'm gaming, they are worse. I could probably go out to dinner with somebody and talk to my family for hours without even having a single or without having a single spasm or anything. But when I'm gaming or when I'm in a high stress environment, they act up a lot more, and it's kind of unfortunate because as a streamer I'm always in the light, always playing games, so it's a lot more obvious. And
do you think that streaming has affected the more that your tics happen?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think that has anything to do with the anxiety that you have to deal with?
Well, anxiety increases the tics, and streaming does increase my anxiety, but I think it's more of a, because I'm focused on so many different things while I'm streaming, the gameplay, interacting with chat, upholding a certain level of energy, all those things together causes me to have a lot more tics while I'm streaming. So I would say yes, but it's also kind of in a good way. Streaming has allowed me to kind of come to terms with it. It's something I can't ignore. It's there, it's in the it's in my face. Like, people mention it all the time. I can't ignore it. It's just a part of my life. And before, I just never really talked about it. It was something I would try to hide, but being more like, now that it's like revealed to people, it's allowed me to be confident about it and accept it for what it is. And yeah.
So you think streaming's like definitely helped you with?
Yeah, definitely. And with anxiety and the Tourette's and all the other stuff, I had low confidence when it came to doing these kinds of I was very unconfident when I first started streaming, and streaming as a whole has made me more confident. It's made me accept more of the things about me that I don't like and turn them into positives. Like, my Tourette's has kind of become like a staple of my stream. Like, people, like, some people probably just know me as the Tourette streamer, or the streamer with facial tics, for good or for better or for worse. So I don't know. It's definitely given me a lot of confidence, being a streamer, than I used to have.
Has there been anything else besides like with giving you confidence? Is there anything else that streaming's like helped you with since you started? Outside of streaming?
Yeah, social interaction, which kind of goes hand in hand with confidence, but I have always been like super isolated in high school. I had like, besides my long time friends from elementary school, I had like one real high school friend. I had one girlfriend and then one high school friend, and that's pretty much my social interaction for high school. So I had really bad social skills and didn't know how to talk to people or like connect with people emotionally, and interacting with people on a day-to-day basis, people who have questions, want to be my friend, all this stuff. It's helped me develop a lot of social skills that I wouldn't have gotten without streaming. Like, I feel like if I have never started streaming, I'd just be completely isolated. I'd like barely ever meet anybody, and it'd be really bad. But because of streaming, I've become more confident, developed better social skills, and I can definitely I feel like I've come out of my shell a lot as a person who's pretty much been isolated most of his life from like social interactions and stuff.
All right, that makes sense. Like I can definitely see the growth in you.
I mean, you've known me for a long time, from when I was like 14. That's when I first started getting into computer gaming. So you probably know more than most people whether there's been a big difference or not.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you were definitely a very shy, not really a well-spoken kid back then.
Yeah.
A little squeaker, if you know.
Well, that didn't change.
Yeah, that hasn't changed.
That hasn't changed.
Is there, if you could think of like one thing that you want to work on the most and be better at than like the next couple years, like what do you think that is?
Probably I have two things. Probably being a better communicator, because I talk for a long time every day, and a problem I have that I've always had is I have a hard time communicating what goes on in my head out, like, verbally, in a manner that's coherent. So, maybe the podcast will help. Maybe just over time, streaming 8 hours a day will help me with being able to communicate better. And then the other is being able to take criticism better. Because especially as a streamer, especially as a new streamer, criticism, it flies like that. I get fucking criticism like crazy. People always are like, "Who's this annoying kid?" Flappy Bird eyes, all this stuff. But honestly, I've gotten better at it, but I've still got a long way to go, where people come in and they criticize you, they talk shit on you, they just want to make you feel less about yourself, and then it's just something that you have to deal with as a streamer. And in a way, I'm glad that I have to deal with it, because in life, people are going to criticize you all the time. People are going to try to bring you down for whatever reason. And I have to learn to, trust in myself and how I go about things. And as a streamer, I have to face that reality, communication. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I have to face that reality, and there's no way not to. So.
Well, going off again, like something if streaming's helped you with, how do you think streaming's helped you with the females?
Okay. Now I have to tell you.
Yeah.
Streaming has helped me way more with gay men than with females. Now.
Oh, really?
Now, I don't know what this is, alright?
Yeah.
I don't know what my energy brings, but I don't think I've ever had so many interactions with gay men in, such a short period of time that I have while streaming, okay? Now, I'm not homosexual, but apparently people think I am, and that's okay,
Okay.
Now, with women...
Depending on the country you live in.
Now, with women, I have had some pretty good luck with older women. Not
older?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately?
Yeah. I don't know if it's my young vibe or something, and we got some creepy online women, but, there's some women that have, over the age of 30 that have really come looking for me. And, that's weird. But I have met only one female my age who I've kind of hit it off with, but we won't talk about that.
Yeah, we don't gotta go into that.
Yeah, we don't gotta go into that. That's a work in progress. But
okay.
In terms of how it's helped me with women, not really. A little bit, maybe in time, maybe when I'm a little bigger, but. When it comes to how it's helped me with gay men, it's one of these.
It's gonna be a little topic we get into later, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
Except it's the other way. It'd be like me. Approaching. Yeah.
All right. So So I mean that pretty much wraps it up. Actually, there's one more question. I almost forgot.
Okay.
Just since we're talking about your future and how things have affected you now, I figured we could talk about your past a little bit.
Okay.
Figured I could ask you a couple questions.
Sure.
From your childhood, maybe. So there's some people in the chat that would like to, have a little insight on little Dylan.
Okay. Sure.
So growing up.
Yeah.
Were there any any toys, any special,
okay.
What's the right word? Action figures, or maybe dolls? Maybe? Do you have anything from your past that, held a lot of value to you?
I can't really recall what you're talking about.
Oh, you can't?
No, my just dumb brain over here.
Does the name Chrissy?
Okay, wow.
Sound familiar?
Wow, you're telling this story. Okay. Oh boy.
Alright, guys, listen.
I did not know you were gonna tell this story.
Listen, guys. Alright. We're gonna have a little bit of story time right before we move on. So, let's just say Lil Dill Pickle, alright, when he was a young boy, around the age of 4. He went with his family on a trip to the mall.
Not the age of 4. I was like 8.
Oh, I was trying to help you.
Yeah. But if you're gonna tell the story, you gotta tell it honestly. So.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, Dylan went on a little trip with his family, to the mall. Him, his mom, his dad, his brother, his sister. And they had a nice little family outing.
Mm-hmm.
And right before they were about to leave, his sister saw a shop.
Yep.
that sold baby dolls. Like the live
Not just baby dolls. It was like a nursery.
Okay, like a nursery.
Yeah.
That sold the live dolls where, you know, you could pretend like you're feeding them and you take care of them and they're supposed to be like your live baby. You know? And obviously his sister, being a girl, you know, she wanted one really badly.
Yeah.
But she wasn't the only sibling that really wanted one of those baby dolls. See, little Dylan, he had this weird obsession with just wanting a little baby to take care of.
Yeah.
And when his parents said that he couldn't have that little baby, he threw a crying fit in the middle of the store.
Let's calm down. It wasn't
in front of everyone.
It wasn't a crying fit.
Kicking and screaming. And, you know, it worked.
Yeah.
He got one of those little baby dolls and he named her Chrissy.
And here's a part of the story that nobody else knows, okay? So I would have it up in my bed, and I would sleep with it, okay? But every time I would have a friend come over, my mom would go into my room, and she'd hide it, because she knew that I would get bullied if my friends knew that I had a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Maybe what you were saying earlier is making a whole lot more sense now that I think about it, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, like I didn't have any friends because of the baby.
That and, you know, like the girl problems and, you know, kind of.
This was like pre-crisis Dylan. Okay, this is when I was a good innocent boy and nothing bad had happened to me in my whole life, and
yeah,
I would never do that now. Except for with a real baby, but you know.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait. Okay.
Is that? Are you happy? Yeah. Did you tell the story you wanted to tell?
I'm happy.
Okay.
But before we move on, actually, I do want to give some shout-outs. Okay. If I can.
Yeah, go for it. Have your way.
I want to shout out the Guild Theorycraft on Tichondrius.
Okay.
8 out of 9 Mythic. I got some boys in the chat that are watching. I just wanted to shout them out real quick, you know, seeing as, you know, the Theorycraft name. A little hype there. So I just want to shout them out. But yeah, that's it.
I used to be a part of that guild, but then
until you fucking left me and ditched me, and I hate you.
Okay. Yeah. So you know, I love Theorycraft, even though I don't know most of the people. But thank you guys for coming to the podcast, anyways.
And thank everyone for being here.
Yeah. Everyone who's here, you guys are all amazing. Even if it's your first time, I appreciate you guys coming. Now, we're going to go on to our next topic, and we're not going to spend too much time on this, but we're going to talk about the most recent episode of Game of Thrones and about how the show as a whole is how we think it's going to be viewed in the future. So we're going to talk about this just for like 15 minutes, okay? So if you don't want to know anything about it, mute the stream or come back in like 10-15 minutes and we will
you can just mute the stream, and when you see the background swap, you'll know we're done talking about
when this background is up, okay? This is spoiler warning. This is going to be the only spoiler part of the stream. So if you don't want to know what happened in the episode, now's this is your final warning. So, all right, Poon.
I hate
the second to last episode of Game of Thrones. What'd you think?
I want to vomit.
Okay.
Just thinking about it.
Walk me through.
Okay. So, best scene. Okay. Pretty sure everyone can agree. Even though the Hound dies, fucking takes out the mountain.
Yeah.
Clegane Bowl happened.
Yeah, it did.
It's the only thing we fucking got out of this fucking shit show. Okay? Because this fucking bitch, okay, all season they put her up on this pedestal of like she's the the one that's gonna be the breaker of change. She's gonna fucking break the fucking wheel.
Not really this season, but in the past, yeah.
Well, no, yeah. I'm talking the whole series.
Okay.
Is how they've like put her up.
Yeah.
And because she hears some fucking bells, okay, some bells.
Yeah.
She decides, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking kill everyone except for fucking Cersei, who's fucking standing in this tower looking at her.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't understand.
And, I think to add on to that, there's the term that everyone's throwing out there. There was foreshadowing, okay?
Oh, fuck.
You know, foreshadowing is not character development, okay? Now, do I have a problem with Daenerys going crazy? No. I just don't. I have a problem with how she went crazy. Okay, legit. Like, okay, here's what my brother was telling me about something that he read about in the books. So in the books, there's a lot more alluding to Daenerys going insane, and this is what I wish they would have done this whole time. So there's like the illusion. So basically, the Mad King wanted to burn down all of King's Landing when King's Landing was being sacked, and because he believed he would become a dragon and like emerge as a dragon, and he was like insane in that way. And so that same illusion is like put on Daenerys in the books, where when the dragon killed the child in Meereen, she had like this vision of her like emerging as a dragon, and it's like alluding to the fact that she would go crazy like her father. And that kind of thing is like amazing. Like, that's, you know, good writing right there. But in the story, George R.R. Martin probably was like, oh yeah, dude, Daenerys in the books, she's gonna go crazy in then for sure. And then the writers were like, shit, we forgot to write this in. Tits, we gotta do what George R.R. Martin said. Okay, Daenerys, unleash hell, baby, and just like let her go, run wild on King's Landing for no fucking reason at all.
Yeah, the writing was so fucking poorly done. Like, you have to, like, if you want to set this up, like, yeah, I'm not upset because she went crazy. It's like, set it up. Like, if you're only gonna do so many episodes for the last season, like, it's your fucking job to like get the writing correct and tell the story. But instead, they just fucking shit the bed.
But Cersei lost one of her dragons and lost her closest companion. Of course she'd murder innocents, right?
Oh my god.
I don't know. Like, it's just like a good ending without all the build up. Like, her character could and should have gone the direction. This episode should have been the exact same if there was just like episodes before it that built it up. Like, if this episode just had better context around it. The episode as a whole, if you just watch it, it's fine. Like, it's a good episode. It's well directed. Everything, it looks great. The acting's great. It's just like the context around the episode is just so bad.
And I mean, there's like, even though like last week on the podcast, I did a lot of bitching about like Jaime and like the story they're having with him. And as much as I like hated the fact that he cucked Tormund and then just went back to die with Cersei, like that scene with him and her when she's like coming down and they're standing she's standing out in the open and he's like by the pillar looking at her.
Yeah.
That was some real shit. Like, it definitely gave me some feels, even though I just didn't want him to go out like that.
In the Jaime Tyrion scene where, you know, he was like, you're the only one who didn't treat me like a monster. Like, that was good. And there were parts of the episode, like, this was definitely my favorite episode of the season. As it applies to the whole of the show, that's where there's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just wish that they had went about the Daenerys thing a long way, because it's probably the biggest part of the show now.
Yeah.
Especially like the season 8, like her, like, what happens with her and John, that's the biggest thing. And, I don't know, it's just really annoying. But...
Now, I have to ask you this question.
Okay.
I always kind of wondered this, like, the Game of Thrones is a great show overall, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If it has a bad and disappointing ending, does that ruin the show overall for you? Because a lot of people are saying, like, D&D are the worst writers on television.
I mean, the thing...
But, like, they also wrote, like, the first few seasons, didn't they?
I mean, yeah, with the help of, George R.R. Martin.
Sure. But the dialogue was great. Like, there's a lot of... The show overall was revolutionary. Like, there's never really been a show like Game of Thrones that was such a cultural phenomenon. And if it ends disappointingly, does that stain the show as a whole? Or can it still hold up as it is?
I mean, honestly, at this point, without sounding like too fucking pessimistic, like, I just kind of feel like it's like it left a bad taste in everyone's mouth, and I think people are kind of over it.
Yeah, like, I feel like that's a shame because people remember, like, the way people remember the end more than they do all the things before. And I've been getting things in my YouTube feed of scenes in King's Landing with, like, Varys and Littlefinger and all this stuff, like, before like season 7 and season 8, and it just, like, reminds you of how good the show was, like, how well it was written, how good the characters were. And it's a shame because this last season might just, like, tarnish what, like, an amazing show it was all that time ago. Like, it's just a completely different show now. It's like dragons and battles and stuff like that Game of Thrones almost never was.
It definitely feels like they've just, I don't know if it's they had to rush or, like, they just wanted to get it over with.
I mean, they had 2 years.
It definitely feels rushed.
Yeah.
It feels like there could have been a lot more, like, story put in. And yeah, it might have been a couple extra episodes or maybe one more season, but honestly, I think it probably should have happened.
As much as I want the show to, like, be good overall, I think the ending is going to it's just going to make everybody look down on the show as a whole, because, the ending is such a big part. I kind of know how it's going to end. I just hope that it ends in a way that doesn't leave people furious. Like, if this last episode was the last episode of the series, I don't know, that kind of, like, ruins the whole show. But if they find a way to end the show in a way that we can at least just be like, yes, this last season sucked, but the rest of the seasons were great, and hopefully just leave the show at, like, as it is.
Well, how do you think it's going to end?
Look, I've read some spoilies, and so have you. So if we give our predictions, we're just hardcore spoiling it for everybody. So
I'm gonna say one thing, okay?
All right.
If it ends the way that the spoilers have said it's gonna end, I will 100% fucking hate the show.
All right. Well, I think that if you wanna know our opinion on how the show ended, you'll have to come back next Friday between 7:30 and 9:30 BST. #1 podcast on this platform. So,
goddamn,
you'll have to come back, roll it back, and check to see our opinions on how it ends. So, that's enough of Game of Thrones. Let's get people back in here.
Yeah, fuck that shit.
Yeah. Let's talk about League of Legends. Let's talk about MSI. Let's talk about some relevant things. A lot is
double lift.
Keep going. Let's go.
I mean,
double lift.
Double lift. Double lift!
God, I love him!
Dude, listen.
Okay, I just want it to be known that Doublelift has touched me in the on the shoulder. Okay, I have a picture with him with his arm around me. So basically, I've got good fortune right now with streaming. He just beat IG in MSI. Good fortune, good fortune. We've touched before. Basically, I won MSI.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Well, I mean, they haven't won yet. They still have to get through Faker.
Who? Washed up?
Okay, buddy.
Alright.
Come on.
So, alright. Before we get into MSI talk, because I really do want to, I do want to talk about that, because it's fucking historic.
Hell yeah.
This is historic stuff, right? But before we do that, I want to just talk about League as a whole. So, you don't really actively play League. Have you been following League lately?
I've been following it on and off. Yeah, I don't actively play anymore, as you know.
Yeah.
I do miss it sometimes, but unfortunately.
I'm gonna be talking about League from the perspective of a jungler, and I don't want this to be a big rant because it could be if I wanted it to be. Okay, I could rant about League for hours if I wanted to, but I don't. So basically, my opinion on League of Legends right now is, at least from the jungle role, is that jungle is ruined. No, but honestly, I don't understand what they're doing. I don't like what they're doing with jungle, and I don't like the way they balance jungle and balance things as a whole. So people always complain, for eternity, it's gonna be junglers blame their laners and laners blame their junglers. But there's 4 laners and 1 jungler, so Riot just thinks to themselves, well, if we just nerf jungle, nerf its impact, everyone will be happy. Everyone will be happy. It will no longer be better jungler wins. All this shit. So they nerf the XP. They make Scuttle spawn later. They nerf the top 3 junglers. They buff. They make it so you pretty much just have to farm in the jungle, and it's just like, Jesus fucking Christ. How am I supposed to carry the game? They nerf all these runes, and they just buff tank stuff, so now I have to sit in the jungle and play a Mumu, Sejuani, or I just can't win games. And I can't win games anyways because I just have to get a coin flip with the better team, and it's fucking stupid, and I hate it. I'm upset.
Okay. Calm down.
I mean, pretty much, Karthus is the best jungler in the game right now. And the reason for that is infuriating. Because Karthus, he can't duel the enemy jungler. He's weak to invades. But he scales super well, and he farms really well. And just is fucking broken when he gets ahead. And that used to be a problem because Kha'Zix was in the meta and Xin Zhao and people who could invade. But now nobody invades because basically an invade is 100% dependent on whether your laners show up or not and wake up and follow you into the jungle. And then now that you can't contest Scuttle anymore because it doesn't spawn till 3 minutes and 15 seconds, pretty much you can just play Karthus, full clear your jungle, and just AFK until you get R, and then just press R to turn a fight, and then you just carry the game. You barely even play the game, you just fucking spam your buttons and farm a bit, and then you just win. And that's pretty much what jungle is right now. The Karthus is good because it bypasses all the things that Riot's trying to do with jungle, in the ways they're trying to nerf it. It bypasses it by just Karthus being Karthus, and it's really annoying. I don't know. I'm fine with playing whatever meta champs there are. I enjoy playing Karthus, but it's just I don't understand why. I don't know. The higher elo you go, the less impact junglers have, because in lower elo, people don't ward, people overextend, they push the waves, but in higher elo, people know how to freeze their lanes, people know how to attract the jungler, people know how to ward properly. So the higher elo you go, the less impact junglers have. So basically, junglers are being nerfed because most of the population who's in low elo just complains about it. It's like, I don't know. It's stupid.
I mean, don't you think that's, it plays a part with how League is as a whole, with like how toxic it is, and this Riot they just don't know how to like fix their game.
Yeah.
Like they just don't know how to like fix lanes or fix champs without just completely fucking over someone else.
Yeah, I mean, that leads us into the next point. Like, I had my little rant about jungle, but that leads us into the big question, the question that we should all be asking ourselves as League of Legends players, if you're a League of Legends player. Is it possible for us as players to ever be truly satisfied with Riot? There's the thanks Riot memes, Rito games, like, what are you doing? Can we ever be satisfied with Riot? Or even just game companies in general. It can be Blizzard as well. Like, can anyone really... is there a way that Riot could get the game to a point where people would be satisfied? Or is that just an impossibility? What do you think?
I mean, honestly, I think it's just the fact that both sides are at wrong. Like, the playing population, right? Like, they don't play for the right reasons in the first place. So I just feel like they hold this like mentality of, oh well, this is Riot's fault that I'm not climbing, or it's Riot's fault that this is broken in the game, or it's Riot's fault. When I just think the main population that play League, they don't play it for the right reason. Like, they're not playing to get better. Like, people just care way too much about rank. Like, they care way too much about what other people are going to think about them if they get demoted, and they don't actually play the game to like get better at the game.
Yeah.
And I just think that breeds a lot of toxic mentality with it, and then you have Riot, who obviously play a part in the toxic mentality because they literally do nothing to fucking stop it.
No.
Even though they say they do, and they also don't do anything with like actually trying to fix inside the patches to make the player base a little bit more happy. Like, there's just problems on both sides that just make it worse.
Yeah, I mean, from like a balancing perspective, it's like an impossible task, right? Like, they have one thing counters another thing, and there's like it's like tangling up a web with like just millions of possible mistakes that they can make that would piss people off. And
yeah, there's no quick fix.
Yeah, they're like, League in nature is a competitive game, and competitive games will never not be toxic. Like, that's just how they are. And honestly, toxicity is like the least of the problems. My problem with like they don't do anything to fix toxicity is they're more concerned about people who say the N-word or whatever in game, and they just ban them easily. But people who literally troll games, ruin people's experiences for 20 minutes, like straight up run it down, those people, like, it takes forever for them to get banned. There's screenshots of players in EU who like post on Twitter their match history, 30 games hard trolling and still not banned, like stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And like, you can mute somebody who said the N-word. You cannot press a button in tab that makes your teammate start playing. Like,
yeah.
People who literally ruin the experience of League get away scot-free. People who go AFK, people who do all these stupid things, and it's like just such a low priority for them. But it's like, that's the key. That's the thing that makes the game toxic, is not the people who are toxic. Everyone's toxic when they play League for the most part. It's the people who literally grief games and
they hold games hostage, hold Elo hostage. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, that's a way. Like, I don't care if someone calls me, a bad name in my fucking chat.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a fucking grown up. Like,
and you can mute if you want.
Yeah. If you want, you can mute it.
Or you can argue or whatever.
But if you have fucking Tyler 1 in your game just running it down fucking mid, like, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yep. There's nothing you can do about it. It's bullshit.
Fuck it.
It's bullshit. Riot.
That's why I play World of Warcraft, everybody. Go get World of Warcraft.
Riot, fix your fucking game. Start banning people who run it down in my games. I swear to God, I will send you a VOD every time someone does it. I am over it. I'm over it.
Preach, brother.
Let them say the N-word.
What?
What? Whoa. I didn't know.
Come on, bruh.
Okay, you can ban that too, but as long as you guys ban people who say the N-word, please also ban people who pick Yuumi and run it down, okay? Thank you.
Thanks.
Alright, we're good.
You okay there?
Whew!
Ooh, it's getting
Is
hot,
that hot in here? Woo!
Yeah.
Gotta take a drink.
Yeah, you do.
Woof.
You wanna talk about MSI now and NA's chances? How our boy Doublelift can do?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay. God, what a historic event! Team Liquid beat the reigning world champions, what looked like the best team at the tournament. They looked dominant as shit, and TL they just put them up. They put them like this, and they went boom like that, just like they just spanked them. They sent them flying. It was amazing. And
it was.
Oh, like, so I made this scene last night before Team Liquid ever played, and I said MSI and North America's chances internationally, and I didn't even know that the IGTL game was going to be played, but it's like, can Team Liquid win MSI? Can they do it? Was this a fluke, or has NA caught up to the other regions? What do you think?
I don't think NA's caught up. I just think the other regions have come down a little bit.
Well, wouldn't that be? Do you think that's what it is? Do you think it's the other regions have come down, or do you think it is North America stepping up?
I think the other regions are coming down a little bit. Like, the gap is closing, but I don't think it's because NA is hit some new stride. Like, this team's they have pretty much the same players they've had for a little bit now. And I
mean, they have Jensen, which was an upgrade from Pobilter, and then they have Core JJ.
Yeah, but it's not like they're getting talent from Core JJ is really good, but
probably one of the best supports in the world at this point.
Yeah, definitely, but I think Doublelift is just he's just so good on that team, and the fact that Core JJ is his support now, definitely boosts him up and boosts their team up. I don't like fucking Impact.
I mean, he's been playing insanely well at this tournament.
I mean, yeah, he has.
He's rose to the occasion, for sure.
I still don't like him, but he's definitely played a little bit better. And I mean, the old tried and true jungle that always just kind of shows up and does his thing.
Yeah, Ecstatic.
He's always there. But I have a really hard time thinking that they're gonna win MSI. Fortunately.
You don't think that they could beat? Honestly, I think they'd have a better time beating SKT than they would have beating G2. I think G2 is too unorthodox, and I worry that Team Liquid would struggle against them. But I think that Team Liquid could beat SKT.
I mean, yeah, but I have a hard time thinking. I really believe SKT is gonna win. And I don't know. I think Faker. I'm not gonna bet against Faker.
Yeah.
I feel like he's gonna make his comeback this season at Worlds.
I mean, whatever you believe, NA has made history, right?
Definitely.
They made the finals of MSI. That's never happened before. And if they win, I don't think you can argue that North America is not a legitimate contender on the world stage anymore. I think if they win, they beat the world. If they win, they either beat the super team of Europe, one of the best teams ever made in Europe. SKT, the super team of Korea that 3-0'd Griffin and has a 3-time world champion on their team, and they already beat the reigning world champs. So if Team Liquid does and North America does win MSI, I mean, haters can hate, but the results speak for themselves. So
I mean, I want Double F to win so bad.
yeah,
Like, nothing would make me more happier than watching him fucking win MSI and then go to win Worlds.
I mean, even just MSI, like, that's just, whew, that's just amazing.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have faith in Team Liquid before. They didn't have a great group, but god damn it, they pulled it out, and I'm proud of them. So.
What about TSM?
I've still got my TSM jacket dusting in my closet, waiting to pull it out for shining
That
moment.
team's fucking trash.
Fucking Sven, brother Sven.
Oh boy.
But one day I'll whip out the TSM jacket, maybe wear it on stream when TSM is in the World Finals. But until then, it's Double F and his boys all the way. All right, Pooner.
Yeah.
Are you ready
Oh
to
boy.
move on from LOL talk into the real shit?
One thing I want to say before we move over from LOL talk is fuck jungle. All right, we can go.
Okay, before we go to this next scene, actually we'll just go there now. All right. Now,
Uh-oh.
I want to just preface what this is. So, this will
geez.
probably be something that we do in the future, where we have current events that we're going to talk about. Now, these are some serious topics. These are like actual real life topics that have real value to talk about, and you will probably see a different side of us, a side that you may not agree with, or like you may not agree with what we have to say. But this is just this is like real shit. So don't get triggered, okay?
Don't get offended.
Yeah, we're just sharing our opinions, okay? So do you wanna lead the charge on this one? Walk us through how you.
Oh boy, I mean.
So we'll start off with the Riot employee walkout.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's rough because no one really knows, like, unless you actually worked there.
Well,
what's actually
for people that don't know anything about it, tell them what it's.
So basically, there's a walkout that happened at Riot surrounding like this Kotaku article that came out a year ago, where they interviewed some people that work at Riot still right now and like previous employees about how Riot like fostered a like sexist work environment that was like very just not fun for like people to work at. And basically not a lot of employees, but there were a few employees that actually like went after Riot and like tried to sue them.
Yeah, there were 5.
Over it. Yeah, there were 5 of them. I think two of them followed through with it and like actually went into like active like litigation to try and like get some type of thing done about it. And so basically that happened a year ago, and then it's been this ongoing thing because legal battles like take fucking forever.
No.
And they just had a walkout, I think it was like a week and a half ago, where all the Riot employees got together and they scheduled this walkout to like show their support for the employees.
Yeah.
And so that's basically like the backstory of it. I honestly don't really. It's hard to like give an opinion on it just because of how like weird it is with. There's so many employees at Riot, and there's like a lot of stories that are told.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not you can believe like all of them.
Well, I mean, the walkout wasn't necessarily about the discrimination lawsuits. It was more about the policy that what is it, forced arbitration.
The arbitration clause, yeah.
So basically Riot has this policy where if you like people who work there, if they want to sue Riot, they can't take it into court. They have to settle it outside of court and come to an agreement outside of the court. So and they basically said that anybody who works at Riot up until this point basically can't sue, because when they got hired, they basically agreed to these terms, and it's coming to come to a head because these sexual discrimination cases are basically being labeled, well, you guys can't even sue us because when we hired you, you agreed to these terms, and it's kind of very scummy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most scummy part of it is the fact that when there was like this uproar about like the employees wanting them to drop the mandatory clause, like they like took a lot of the employees inside and like split them up and would like run through these like classes to where you were allowed to like or like air your grievances with the company, but they made sure to like divvy it up into small groups so that it's easier to silence people if you can like split them up and divide them into like small groups.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's really fishy about it. But the issue is like a lot of these big companies have this. Like Riot isn't the only company that have these mandatory arbitration clauses. Like
and from what I understand, it's a lot of game companies.
Yeah.
And perhaps the reason, can you? Yeah, I'll turn it down in the future. So, pretty much what I mean, maybe it's just because of the way women are viewed in the gaming industry, like online. Like there's the whole e-girl and like girls can't play video games kind of thing, and and perhaps I mean I don't know like if that also happens in the work environment in terms of video gaming, like if people believe that, I don't know, like I know that happens in the work environment already, but like specifically in the gaming industry, perhaps these companies know that this is just something that happens with women, so they have these forced arbitrations where women can't sue for gender discrimination. And I don't know, it's like I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, the thing that worries me with all of this is like there was some like pretty sketchy stuff some of the like women like complained about that I honestly just don't necessarily agree with. Not saying that like all of them, like I haven't read like all of the like transcripts of what they complained about, but like there was like one female employee or like former employee that complained how she couldn't go out with her like fellow co-workers because at the end of the workday they would go to like their most frequent places to go were like strip clubs and all this stuff, and it's like, can you actually complain about that? Like is that something like as a woman like, oh well you can't go out with your employees because they like to go to strip clubs? Like it just doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. People like if that's like I feel like that would I don't believe that that's probably their only like complaint. It's probably
Yeah.
that on top of like other things, so they feel like all these circumstances together created like this very unsafe work environment for females. But I don't know. I feel like the problem is that companies are finding ways to prevent themselves from being held accountable for the things that they do. And a big problem with not just game companies but companies in general um, is that there's a lot of legal ways for companies to prevent people's voices from being heard in terms of how they abuse their employees, and that is on all levels. Companies need to be held accountable in one way or another, and I think that this is going to need to happen a lot more for anything to be done, which is kind of the sad and scary part about it. But in order for there to be change with how we hold our companies accountable, there's going to need to be a lot more abuse but it needs to be, people need to talk about it. People need to do walkouts. They need to, they need to report it. They need to go to the news and give their story, and that's like really the only way change is possible is by talking about it. So
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like large companies just have a lot of control over like the rules. And this country is pretty much run by, various large companies. So I just think it's hard to, like, it just trickles down even to a fucking gaming company. Like,
yeah.
all these rules,
I mean, Riot has become a $1 billion company, so
yeah.
So
It's just,
I don't know.
it's pretty sad.
Yeah. Honestly, I think forced arbitration clauses are probably the worst thing ever. A company needs to be able to be sued when they do something wrong, and I think that, I don't know. I'd have to look more into why they're legal exactly, but sounds very sus to me. I don't know enough about it, but it sounds real sus.
Yeah, it's just a way for fucking companies to like snuff out, like, it's like a gag order.
Yeah.
You just can't fucking like leak any information. That's why this shit gets settled out of court.
No.
Because once it gets settled out of court, you can't talk about it, or like you're liable to get fucking sued.
Mm-hmm. All right. Do you want to move on to the big boy topic?
Oh, the big boy or the big baby?
Alrighty. All right. So before we talk about this, I did not really want to talk about this topic. Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Last night, Poon.
Weasel your way out.
Last night, Poon came to me and he was like, "Have you heard about this Alabama law that was passed regarding abortion?" And I have a very passionate opinion on abortion, and I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want to, I didn't want to get emotional or passionate about it on stream. But I feel like it is an important thing, and it is a relevant thing, and I have a opinion on it. I have an opinion on it that is really strong, so I feel like I, and Poon as well, could give some insight on the situation. So I will let you go ahead and explain what the Alabama law was, and we can go from there.
Yeah, so basically, Alabama decided, or the governor of Alabama decided it was a good idea to pass a law to where all abortions are illegal.
Except for if the mother's in danger.
Yeah, except for if the mother's in. But rape and stuff like that,
And incest.
and incest, you're not allowed to have an abortion. If you do receive an abortion, you could be you could have 99 years in prison, and the doctor that gave you the abortion could get 99 years in prison. Basically, it's not it hasn't went into effect yet. But it's going to, I think, sometime.
Yeah, so as of right now, abortion in Alabama is legal up until 20 weeks.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of outcry against this, this abortion law because, obviously it's about as strict and harsh as it could get. Like, this
Do you know the rules? Do you know the rules of what the abortions you have to get right now in Alabama? Like ultrasounds and stuff like that?
Yes, but that's pretty standard between all all abortion laws, I believe, is that you have to get an ultrasound, and you also a lot of the times they'll show the mother like the ultrasound so that like perhaps because it's easy to disassociate it's easy to disassociate yourself from like a fetus, but if you maybe if you see the face, see the features, the mother might change their mind, and so they do that to perhaps dissuade the mother from getting an abortion. But that's pretty standard.
All right.
And so the law itself, the 99-year felony punishment, this passed with flying colors pretty much in Alabama. It was like a 25-6 vote or something like that. And what do you think about the law as a whole?
The law right now, or
the law that just got passed, the new abortion law?
It's, honestly, it's pretty ridiculous. Just in the fact that, like, if you're gonna go ahead and just make an exception for, like, endangering the life of the mother, like, what's the point of even making the law? Like, you might as well just go ahead and, like, just make it so that all abortions are illegal, and if the mother dies...
Laws almost all laws have exceptions. Like, there's lots of exceptions to lots of different rules. In fact, I would imagine that that most laws have some sort of exception to them. Like, there is multiple different types of murder for different situations. Like, the law is malleable in that way, and I don't think that it has to be all or nothing.
I mean, I just think this conversation's, like, very specific. And the fact, like, if you, like, talk to someone who doesn't think abortions are, like, right, I think most of them would say they don't think any abortion is right.
Yeah,
so I mean,
there's usually three different types of people when it comes to abortion. This is generalizing, but there's people who think no abortions are okay ever. There's people who think most abortions are wrong except for a few exceptions, and then there's people who think all abortions are okay.
And I'm pretty sure this law actually affects miscarriages too. I think pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I read that if you have a miscarriage now in Alabama, when this law goes through, that you'll be okay as long as the prosecutor, like, you're allowed to be, you're allowed to have, like, a criminal investigation put on you if you have a miscarriage.
Are you sure about that?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, that's pretty ridiculous, because, obviously, miscarriages they're not abortions. It's like you don't have any control of it most of the time.
I don't think it's the first state either. I think Georgia maybe was another state that has like a weird abortion law.
But basically this law is saying that abortion is murder, and that's why the sentence is so high. And because of that, I don't know, it's hard to say, because my opinion on abortion is that it's wrong. I think it's wrong. And that I am one of the people who supports the exceptions for, like rape, incest, mother's life, and I think that let me gather my thoughts real fast. So I think that abortion is wrong besides the exceptions. However, I also have this feeling that that the law should punish people based on intent as well. I feel like intent does matter when committing a crime. Like, if somebody who steals for their family is different than someone who steals for greed, it's hard to push that, like, figure out exactly how, but like how to punish that. But like, that's just how I feel from a moral standpoint.
Yeah, it's like a moral dilemma that you have.
And I don't believe that most people who get abortions think that they are murdering a child. I don't think that they think that. Do I believe that that's what they're doing? More or less. But I feel like for most things, the people who get abortions do not believe that they are committing a serious crime. And because of that, I don't think that they're a danger to society. I mean, people get punished and put in jail because of their danger to society. And if someone murders somebody, then obviously you have to put them in jail because they could hurt someone else in the future. They've committed a crime. They need to be put away. They're a danger to society. I don't believe that people who get abortions, unless they're like just getting knocked up and going to the clinic and just getting an abortion every couple weeks, I don't think that they are a danger to society, and punishing them for 99 years, a similar sentence to murder, it feels wrong to me. As somebody who does not support abortions, I feel like that punishment does not fit. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it fits.
Well, what do you think about on the other end of the spectrum, where they're allowing abortions for even like late-term abortions?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the complete opposite side of the spectrum is even worse, honestly. But the problem that I have with this law is there's a good thing and there's a bad thing about it, in my opinion. The bad thing is I think it's too extreme. There needs to be exceptions. There's exceptions to every rule. There's people who get them and they're good people. They're not a danger to society. There's so many things that are wrong with abortion, but I don't think that most of the time the people who get them are bad people. And because of that, I have a problem with the punishment. I have a problem with the lack of exceptions. But the good thing about it is that the country as a whole, and I think the world, a lot of the world, has become too okay with, like, abortions, I think. I think they've, like, this whole woman, like, it's the woman's body, it's this, it's that, like, it's just become very, okay to, like, talk about it in such a meaningless manner, I think, because the truth is like, it's a big deal. Like, an abortion, whether you believe it is murder or not, it's a big deal. And in all 50 states, it is technically a constitutional right. Like, it is, you can get an abortion. It's legal in every state. And I think that what's good about the Alabama law is it finally one of the states is like, abortion is still not like, it's not okay. Like, even if the law itself is flawed, the conversation that it forces us to have, the reminder that abortion is more than just some simple easy fix to getting pregnant. It's like, it's emotionally traumatizing for a lot of women. It's the end of a potential life. It's a lot, and there needs to be a hard stance that counters all this openness and acceptance about abortion, I think. And I think that's what's good about this law.
I mean, I just think, just to touch on like what you said about the whole, abortion now is like talked about a lot, and it's become a more accepted thing, and you feel like it's not like okay.
Yeah.
Like I'm on a little bit of the other side. Like, I think abortions are fine. If you want to get an abortion, like that's whatever, that's up to you. It's like none of my business. Just like it's not any of my business if you wanted to go inside your house and, do any type of drug you wanted. Like, it's completely up to you.
Yeah, but that's doing a drug is more or less something you're doing to yourself, right? But it's like, we as a society, we have to decide on a set of rules that we live by. Like, we have to decide the rules that we live by, the things that are okay morally or not, and that's what shapes us as people, as a society. We have to accept that there's certain rules that we have to follow, and to say that it's none of my business what you do with your body is like, I don't know, it's just such a cop-out. Like, is it none of my business that you murdered somebody? Is it none of my business that you stole from somebody? Maybe not, but like, as a society, we have to have rules that we live by. That's what makes us human. That's what makes us people. And I think that it is important to decide whether it is okay or not for abortion to be allowed, because it's so much more than just...
But the issue is, it's not... Like, we could sit here and go on about, like, whether it's, okay or not, just based on, like, taking a life. But it's such a gray area, because you're gonna have people that are gonna say, well, it's not them taking a life, they're just preventing a life from, like, happening. I mean, to me, that's, like, the gray area of where you can't, like, set a rule or a standard, like, on such a gray area just because too many people are just not gonna, like, feel the same way about it. Like, it's just not gonna work.
I mean, maybe, like, I don't know. Like, it's hard to decide what the standard is, but I think it's kind of similar to slavery in that way, that that at the time a large majority of people believed that slavery was okay. It was legal. It was a part of the law. It was what people could do if they wanted to. And it took like a whole war to decide who was right and who was wrong. And looking back on it, obviously we can say that it's wrong. But just because there's a gray area, just because a mass majority of people disagree, even if the majority opinion is that abortion is alright, that doesn't mean the majority... The way our country is set up is it's not set up to appease the majority. It's not like... So I don't know. It's
but
like...
the issue is they weren't buying and selling unborn fetuses to like work in their fields. Like trying to compare it to slavery, just like it doesn't make sense. Like
no.
They're not people yet. Like these aren't like this isn't a life.
I mean, so but it's a potential life, and that's more valuable than most things. And just even if people don't agree that that's the truth, does it matter? Like,
yeah, because that's why you can't make a law about it. Like,
well, sure you can.
If it's so divided, like plenty of people will be like, okay, if I came in your house right now and I shot you dead, I should go to jail for life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, probably 100 out of 100 people would agree with that.
Yes.
But if you go ask right now whether or not it's okay for a mother to go into an abortion clinic and have her, her baby, aborted, or her fetus, then I'd say it'd be like, I don't know, it'd be close to around 50-50, if not like hovering, like maybe more on the lines of yes.
Just because it's a gray area for some people doesn't mean that it's not something that laws can't be made. I don't know. It's just like when slavery was outlawed, people still believe that that African Americans were less than like white people, and that was like half of the country. And if half the country believes that that a fetus is just a fetus and it's nothing special, and it's not a potential life, that shouldn't it shouldn't matter. I mean, it matters in the sense of like passing a law, but morally, it doesn't matter. Like, it shouldn't matter. Morally, just because people agreed that half the people in America believe that slavery was okay, doesn't mean that changes the morality of it. So.
Yeah, but I don't think the two like can be compared morally.
Why?
Because I mean, I just think one is like talking about the enslavement of like actual people, and the other is, I mean,
yeah, but like, you think they're actual people. At the time, there were people who didn't believe they were people, that they were less than normal than white humans, right?
I mean, yeah, but they were still people.
So people who put value of life on fetuses also, like, you say, well, yeah, they're people, but that doesn't change what people who believed, like, that's your reality, that's your truth. But there's people who believe something completely different. Just like how some people believe that that a baby or a fetus is a life, and some people don't.
Yeah, but the problem is the logic with like people thinking that just because your skin color is different, that you're not human is a lot, like, it's like in today's age, like, we just know that just isn't true. But in today's age, we also know that, a fetus, now I'm not saying like late term abortion or, there's different like parameters of when you can have an abortion. I'm just saying that there is a point where it is a fetus and it's not fully formed. It hasn't it doesn't have a heartbeat. It's not like a living thing yet. It doesn't have like a conscience or like anything like that. Like, there is a difference between that and like actual slavery.
Yeah, but the difference in how different people view things is still, like, the parallels are there. Like, the way the argument of what we should do is basically just a difference in perspective.
Well, I just think
which is basically what I mean. Like, if you go into the logistics, yeah, it's different, but the overarching morality of it is just a difference of perspective.
Yeah, but one's based off ignorance, the other's based off like scientific fact.
Okay, but there's people who believe that the fetus is nothing. Like, it's not, but it's a potential life, which is, in my opinion, and in a lot of other people's opinion, more valuable than almost anything else. Besides, I would say the only thing above potential life is, like, life itself, things that have already been born. So yeah, sure, you can't just pop out a fetus and let it live, but a potential life has more moral value than most of anything else. And I think that basically the argument is that because we can't decide on whether that has value, we have to just accept the people who are pro-life and against pro-choice have to just accept that abortion's fine and legal. Because if we do nothing, then people who are pro-choice get what they want. And we have to just be okay with the fact that 1 million fetuses were killed last year. 1 million potential lives are just gone. Just like that. And that's not okay. With me, at least. And with a lot of people. And I think that, that is worth, that, like, even if the majority of people disagree, that doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to a lot of people. And in history, the majority opinion doesn't always dictate what's morally correct.
Well, how close does a potential of life for you compare to an actual life?
Pretty close. I mean, like, that's the exception, is that if the mother's life is in danger, that's pretty much the exact
So then 99
argument.
years shouldn't be that far off the punishment.
Well, the reason I think 99 years is a problem is because people who... I believe that most people who get abortions are not doing it for malicious intent. Like the argument is that people let's say half the population, it's probably a lot more, believe that abortions are fine and there's nothing wrong with them. If they go and get one, do I think that they are a danger to society? No, I don't. From a moral perspective, I think that they are wrong and made a poor choice and have done something morally wrong. But I don't think that...
But if someone kills someone, shouldn't they be punished like the same way?
I mean, yeah, but because we as a society have agreed that murder is wrong. We as a society have not agreed that abortion is wrong, and that's the problem. Is that when we make decisions...
Well, Alabama has.
Yeah, Alabama has. I mean, but like, Alabama as a state decided. The people within it don't, like, did they vote on it?
Well, it's actually just the governor.
So
she put it through herself.
So basically, I think if we as a society agreed on the thing, abortion is wrong. If we agree on it, and then people still go and get it, then that's one thing. But now, I would say most of society, at least, is either indifferent or in support of women having abortions. At least that's what I can see from the outside. And with that being the case, if people go and get them, then they're not evil people necessarily. And I think that that's important when looking at how to punish people, because...
Well, shouldn't that go back to, if you're saying, like, you don't think people are evil just because they go get abortions, then shouldn't people just be free to do what they want? Like, if they want to go and have an abortion and you think that they're not evil people or harmful to society, then why would you want to punish them?
Well, I'm not necessarily for punishment necessarily. Like, we've had this conversation before.
But you said it's a lot. You said that you hold it. Just
it's more of a moral argument. Is that I think that it's morally wrong, and until we accept that as a society, like you said, if someone came in and murdered me, 100 out of 100 people would probably say that's wrong. But that's not the case with abortion. And and what I'm saying with this law that's good is that it counters the common conception that it's okay that abortions are okay. And I don't think they are. A lot of people don't think they are, and that's important. And it's a long road to get to the point where that might be accepted, but that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, and this is with, like, a lot of things, like, both sides are just so, like, you can go so far left and so far right, that it's just a fucking circus show of like people just like attacking each other and like just being fucking ridiculous, and I think the internet plays a big part in that, like with like how everyone's connected and everyone can just kind of say what they want, and they have this like anonymity with each other. And go ahead.
I think abortion more than anything else is the topic that is going to be the most divisive one of our of our generation. Yeah. And I think it's more than anything else because the two differing views are so like emotionally like different, and it's like one believes that it's a right, like it's a fundamental right, and one believes that you're basically taking almost like an entire life, like almost you're murdering somebody. And like those differing views is what creates such a divide. But until we decide as a society what we really want, it kind of has to be this way. Like most people aren't going to be able to have a conversation like we're having now about abortion. And I think that if 50 states think abortion's legal and one state steps up and says, here's the exact most radical opposite to what everyone else believes,
yeah,
that in the grand scheme of things is good for the country, because it's more than just us arguing on Twitter. It's action, and action on this topic in particular is important, because if no action is done, people like me are the ones that lose. People who don't I mean, it's not about me, but it's just like my moral beliefs are the ones that lose because no action has been taken.
And like, just to be clear with like my stance on it and everything, like, even though I do think that abortion should be legal, like you should have the choice, or they should be legal, you should have the choice to go and have an abortion if you want. I also don't like fucking buy this shit where it's like, it's the woman's choice and only her choice, and that's like the last fucking word. Like, it should be both of the parents. Like, the whole, like, if a guy and a girl, like, they're together and, like, the woman gets pregnant and then, like, something happens and, like, they break up or something and she, like, decides that she just wants to, like, go and have an abortion, like, that's just fucking absolutely ridiculous. Like, there should 100% be a way for, like, a man who is with a woman to, like, somehow, like, try and, if he wants that, like, child to be alive, he should have a say in it too. Even though I think something like that's very, like, tricky and hard to, like, actually get figured out. I think that there should be an option there for it. Because the whole, like, oh, it's a woman's body and men can't have any opinion on it is just absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. And, you know, I've had conversations with women about it. And I've had experience with it, and it's like, you know, I believe that just because it's the woman who gives birth, I don't think that prevents I don't know. I don't think that prevents men from having an equally valuable opinion on it. I don't think you have to be a woman to talk on it, and I think that's just it's a smokescreen. It prevents real conversation, and I think that it's a very unfair and unjustified argument for women to say that men can't have say in this topic because they are not the ones giving birth. I think it's just really unfair.
It's a very toxic fucking mentality, honestly, and I think, like, oh man,
I think that without like losing it is the main problem with the abortion argument. Is that whole mentality is what prevents any meaningful discussion from being made. Is the whole you, like, get out of my womb. It's my body. You don't get a say. It's all just, I think it's just very toxic, very bad, and is, like, the worst mentality you can have when talking about something like this. And I think that it's something that needs to stop. And if we can't have conversations about this, regardless of gender, then it's fucking doomed.
You can't just shut out half the population just because, like, some fucking crazy feminist woman says that, men are the devil. Like,
yeah. Especially since it takes half that population to even have a child. So.
Yeah, and like I said, I am for abortion. I think that you should have that choice. Like,
yeah.
I think freedom of choice is very important in this country with, like, a lot of things.
And as you can tell from listening, I'm against it. So those are two differing opinions, and hopefully you can come to your own conclusion about it, regardless of how you feel. Hopefully you at least are open to having a discussion about it, because that is what is most important.
You wouldn't abort our baby, would you?
I'm more worried about you doing it.
Okay, you're right.
So do you want to talk about the sex thing?
Oh boy, we can touch on that a little bit.
I mean, we don't have to, because we did kind of talk about the whole woman's body thing.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
We can save it. We can save it.
Okay. Now let's get away from abortion, because that's a topic that not everybody is very passionate, and I'm glad that we were able to have a good conversation about it. But let's talk about something else. Let's change gears a little bit and get into more of a philosophical discussion on James Charles.
Hey, sister.
And how fame brings out toxic behavior and it just corrupts people who have toxic mentalities. So, do you know a decent amount about James Charles? Do you want me to talk about it?
You can go ahead and start onto it. I know pretty much.
Alright, so I didn't really know anything about James Charles until this whole scandal, but from what I know about it is that he used his celebrity status to he's a gay man, and he manipulated a lot of straight guys using his fame and status into, like, uncomfortable sexual positions, because he had power, he had fame, and he was able to manipulate people doing that. And on top of that, he's been very manipulative. A lot of things that a lot of content creators are accused of, betraying their friends, like selling out.
You know all about that?
And stuff like that. So, let's talk a little bit about how somebody like James Charles, who has these, he said, like, when he was in high school that he would always, like, push towards and, like, try to get with straight guys when he was gay, and try to turn them gay, and how now that he had power, that toxic behavior, that toxic mentality became something that was, like, reinforced by his fame.
Yeah, I mean, I think with James Charles, and it's funny, like, the fact that it's kind of all came to a head with him just because of how popular he was on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I honestly think this is, like, pretty fucking blown out of proportion. Just because I don't want to, like, speak on the whole, like, gay community as a whole, but just from, like, stuff that I've seen, like, the internet's been around a while, and, like, he's definitely not the first famous, like, internet celebrity type gay guy that has talked about like using their fame to get with straight guys and how they love straight guys and love fucking with them and all of this. So I think it's more like this is more about like the whole cancel culture and like this fucking witch hunt that people love to go on. That just kind of like, again, it goes into how fucking the internet has just become such a cesspool on both sides, the left and the right, of just pitchfork mentality of like going after these people that do even like the smallest thing wrong, to where like everyone in life honestly like fucks up. They do something stupid. Like there's not one person out there that like is 100% fucking clean and like hasn't done anything like shady in their life. And like just because he's like this popular guy on YouTube, like something else comes out like this and it's just like this big thing of like hate that's just aimed towards him, when like I think some of the stuff has actually been like disproven. Like I know there was a guy, what's her name, Tati, like said in her video that they were at this restaurant and like their waiter was like the straight guy, and James Charles like hit on him and stuff and was trying to like get his phone number. That like waiter actually like put out a video kind of like saying like he was like bi-curious, he wasn't actually straight. And that he went over and like he went to James Charles's room and they like made out for an hour. And it's like at that point like you're not like, you're just not like, I don't know. I don't think you can say he's like trying to go after straight guys and he's this like what's his name? That other famous like YouTuber, oh man, I can't remember his name right now. There was another like gay famous YouTuber that like called him a predator and said he was a danger to society. Jeffree Star.
Jeffree Star.
Like said he was a danger to society and how he's a predator, even though like it's been shown like people on Twitter have went and dug up tweets of Jeffree Star saying that he loves straight boys and he loves going after like straight boys and he has dreams of like getting with straight boys and stuff. And I just feel like it's just this whole fucking toxic shit that it just, I don't know, it just rubs me the wrong way, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing about the internet now, is just, I don't know, I feel like people are just like waiting for the next like big drama, and the majority of people I feel like associated with this Tati drama and James Charles drama is like, most of them had no idea who he was to begin with, and they're just like, they just come in and they just listen to what she has to say, do a little research of their own, and then just, it's like he's the next, he's the next witch hunt. He's the next person to hate on, and I think people like to find someone to hate on and bring down who's more successful than them, because they feel bad about where they are in their lives, and any chance that they have to tear down someone who's more successful than them makes them feel better. And I feel like that's a huge thing with people our age, people of our generation, with social media and whatnot, is that a lot of people feel like they're unhappy with where they are in life, and the internet appropriates their behavior in the sense that it allows them to find people who are more successful that make a mistake and just pounce on it and bring them down. And it's just like, it's super toxic, and I don't really know how to change it. Hey, thank you so much for the sub, Candy. Should I do the barrel roll now or later?
Do it now, go.
Oh, shit. Alright, Candy. Thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah.
You've just been electrified. God, that was athletic. Okay. Sweet. Okay, let's go back.
Let's bring it back.
Alright. Thank you for the sub, Candy. I appreciate it. Good night. Have a good rest of your night. Alright, so I don't know. I don't think there's much more to talk about in regards to that because the truth is just like, I don't know. How do you fix it?
Well, this is like another thing I have a big problem with is I don't think you can fix it. Yeah. I think we're at that point in like time where it's 2019, the internet's fucking huge. This toxic mentality has already like gotten so big that I think it's just gonna keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only way to fix it would to maybe like change the way social media is ran.
Yeah.
As a whole, like Twitter and YouTube. But I mean, these are like large companies that, you know, are out to make profits. Like,
yeah.
I don't think they necessarily care that much about whether or not they stop this whole type of culture.
And I mean, it makes sense that, like, it's okay for powerful people to need to be held accountable for their actions, although a lot of people who don't have power, who don't have a voice, do things that are also terrible, and if they were in the public eye, they would get crucified for it. And I just think that it's very unfair. Like, the problem I have with it is the whole mentality it's based around is just based around people bringing down someone successful because they are unhappy with the way they are in their lives, or they're virtue signaling and just want to bring down somebody's poor behavior to feel better about themselves. It's all just like this really toxic, self-fulfilling thing that social media has allowed our culture to has allowed us to become. I rarely ever use social media for those reasons. I like have a Twitter and stuff for stream, but like I've never been big into social media. I never really used it. I just like, I don't know. It's all just so toxic for the most part, and it's hard to really see how to fix it. And that's what I hate about it, is that it looks like it's only gonna get worse as time goes on, and eventually, like, you know, you're not going to be able to say or do anything controversial at all. Who knows? Like, maybe one day this podcast, like the conversation we just had on stream today, would be like bannable. I don't know.
I don't know. There is one thing I want to touch on though before we move on.
Okay.
And it's like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the podcast, how you said like gay men, you know, you've had like these encounters with them, because you are a good-looking young man.
Thank you.
Quite dapper.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you think? I'll just give my opinion, and I you just give me your take on it, okay?
Sure.
With like all these people calling James Charles a predator, saying that he's a danger to society and all of this because of like the so-called like going after straight men thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way I feel honestly is like there are real like predators out there.
Sure.
Like,
of course,
people that want to do bad things to like, you know, innocent people. And to like just throw around this word of like him being a predator, or like him willing to, or him like just being a danger to society is fucking just ridiculous to me. Just because, like, let's say, okay, he is going after straight guys, right? Like he straight guys are what he's attracted to, and he likes to try and like, you know, flirt with them and stuff. Like, is that actually that big of a deal? Like, is a gay guy flirting with a straight guy that big of a deal?
I mean, I don't think it's I don't think it's anything if it's just flirting. If it's like, I don't know, if it becomes emotionally manipulative, if it becomes like physically forced, then obviously.
I mean, physically forced, that's one thing, but like emotionally manipulative, it's like, I mean, if you're gonna be, you know, if you're gonna like fall or have feelings with like someone of the same sex, like I feel like you're not straight in the first place. Like I feel like you have to be like curious about the other sex. Like there has to be some type of feeling there for you. Not that you're like gay or anything, but like
I mean, I don't know. Like, I haven't looked into it enough. I haven't had that experience, but I know that it's like, I know that I've heard, especially with this story, is that I don't know. I feel like you can be manipulated into. Or tricked into maybe appealing to that part of your, like, a part of you that, I don't know, man.
Yeah, but if that's a part of you, then, like, you're obviously not straight, which is fine. Like, it's okay to be bisexual, it's okay to be gay, it's okay to be, you know, whatever you want, but, like, to call him a predator for it, I think just is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree that
like, if you want to
calling him a predator is dangerous, especially given that there's actually predators out there who have dangerous behavior that are flying under the radar, and just because James Charles is famous, he gets crucified for it when he's not really even doing anything that bad. But
yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say exactly. But
Yeah.
do you want to move on to some Dr. P&D?
Think it's time.
Alright. So, let's go. So, I don't know how many people are available, how many people would want to, but if you do want to ask Poon and I some questions before we exit, before we get out of here, you can ask us any question, troll, serious. You could come in here and squeal like a pig or something. I don't know. You can do whatever you want. If you
want.
just join the Open Tall Discord call, and we will drag you in. If you have a question or something you want to say, we'll give you guys a few minutes to come in. And if nobody wants to ask any questions, then we will just call it. We'll just call it here. We had a very good conversation, I would say, about a lot of things. So if nobody wants to drop in and have a good old talk, then that I understand completely. Did you ever find out if it was Maybelline?
What? Did you?
Look, I didn't want to have to say this in public, but I did.
Wow.
Yep.
And the cat's out the bag.
Yep. It was Maybelline. The secret's out. Cat's out of the bag. How you doing, Hannah? You want to get in here and ask a question to Poon? Because I think Poon has some questions for you.
Uh-oh.
Are you gonna get in here? Is it time for the Hannah show?
Yeah, make sure you guys, if you do want to ask questions, join the Discord and just join the voice channel open to all.
Ask Poon for me, how does Dylan feel about women?
How does Dylan feel about women? It's a very complicated question to answer. I think he's emotionally scarred. I think he's very, very closed off.
Mm-hmm.
Has a nice big wall up. You know, I think he just needs the right woman to come into his life, but I don't know if he's ready for a woman just yet.
Wow. I feel like that could snowball out of proportion. Okay, buddy. Alright, buddy. He's ready for a man? Excuse
He already has a man?
What's up, Asus? Oof, Poon, nice answer. Yeah, Hannah, the truth is I'm not ready for a woman. Okay, that was... Okay, uh-oh. I opened a can of worms that I'm gonna have to deal with later.
A can of worms?
How about a 2D waifu? Of course. Hannah, it's just a joke.
You want a body pillow?
I have one. It's
Oh my God.
it's a Poon Bear body pillow.
I love it. Hope you think about me at night when you lay with it.
Demo11, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Welcome to the Electrolytes. Alright, well, so does anyone else have any extra questions that you guys want to ask before we head out? I feel like we've had a very good conversation, but it's still question time if anyone wants to ask anything. If not, then we'll pull out our wee-wees and call it a day.
Oh, I don't want to pull out.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Alright. Thoughts on classic WoW. You want to take that one?
Oh, let's get some WoW talk? Just what I've been waiting for. Okay, you son of a bitch, you'll never do that again? Classic WoW. I'm pretty hyped for it just because I think it'll be cool to, like, try it out. I didn't really play Classic WoW when it was out, so it'll be fun to mess around on it. Although, WoW right now is fucking amazing. I love it. Shout out to the people in the guild.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are awesome, even though it took us 5 weeks to kill Blockade.
Look, we all know that WoW sucks cock, and
okay, buddy.
And you should quit WoW, start playing League, and then watch LOL Lectro every morning from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. PST.
And then watch Poon Bear 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. PST.
Look, this podcast is where all people from WoW and League can come to shit on me. See, it's like it's for everybody.
Hell yeah. Also, Theorycraft on Tychondrius is recruiting. If you're a healer or a ranged DPS, please hit me up.
And Theorycraft on YouTube is growing every day. If you want to catch the full YouTube VOD of this podcast or all the other League of Legends skit and Ghost Pepper eating videos that we have on there, sub to that channel. It's called Theorycraft. Dab. Also, if you are from Theorycraft right now, I was an original member, okay? So if you don't like me, just know that the guild that you are standing on, I am one of its foundations, okay? just so you know. I was 14 when I was there.
Oh, you were?
No. Like second generation? No, I was first generation.
Yeah, you were. No, you were second generation.
Okay, but the first generation was like barely a generation at all.
Okay, buddy.
I joined when we were like officially raiding. Oh my god, Josh.
Oh, Josh.
I was about to host you. You son of a bitch.
Hit us with the host.
Well, thank you, Joshy Poo. You just got us at the end of the podcast. Well, hello everybody hello everybody from Josh's channel. If right now we're doing a question time, so if anybody, we had a whole conversation. If any of you have any questions that you want to ask us from Josh's chat or now, you can pop in the Discord. You can type it in chat. We'll answer your questions, and then if no questions, we will dipski. Do you think pink lemonade is gay?
No, it's not, and it's fucking delicious.
I will stand by Poon's opinion.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem.
I can always count on you to stand by me.
Well, let's not say always, but yeah.
What? But
yeah, basically what I'm saying is this is our last podcast. I can't stand Poon anymore.
Honestly, I'm so happy. I hope you fucking
you guys have
lose all your subs.
You guys have no idea how much Poon stinks.
What? Told me you liked it.
Look,
Afro.
When you guys sit in your raid call and Poon starts talking shit on you, and he's like, "Everyone, listen up! I'm a big alpha Poon."
Okay,
just remember,
buddy.
I take him down a peg when we're in a call. I tell him he has a small winner, and I hate him.
Just remember that Dylan cried when he got weapons that
No,
dropped off
you're
fucking
gonna tell.
protectors.
You're gonna tell that story now.
I'm telling it now. Everyone wants to hear.
I did not cry.
Story about when Dylan cried when he got fucking
I'm ending
weapons.
the stream.
No, you're not. You won't fucking touch it, I swear to God.
I did not cry.
You fucking cried. And there are people in this chat that were there.
It was a meme cry, okay?
No.
I knew that you guys
bawled like a baby.
No, I did not. You guys had this expectation for me to get real upset and
you didn't even talk back then.
Yeah, you guys had this expectation. I was on push to talk. You guys had this expectation for me to get super hype about the weapons, and then when I got them, I pressed my push to talk button, and I went, I'm so happy.
No,
and then you guys thought I was serious.
You wanted these weapons so bad.
I did.
So bad.
But I didn't cry. I didn't. I know I didn't cry because I never cry.
Okay,
you heard the tears. What, did you hear the drop?
Yes.
No, you're lying.
I could taste them.
That's just weird, Poon.
Well, don't fucking put your face on my tongue.
I was 14.
Alright, and that's the podcast, everybody.
Okay.
When can they find us again, Dylan?
Okay, if you guys want to catch us next week... Okay, listen, everyone. I need everyone to know this. Next week, we are going to have games that we can play. We're going to have legitimate, like, weekly things that we're going to do every week. That we're gonna have Poon and Electro hot takes.
Ooh.
That's gonna be amazing. We're gonna have things that we can do with chat. So next week's podcast is probably gonna be the highest quality of all of them. The first podcast was a little bit more getting to know us. This podcast was a little bit more serious discussions. So we'll take some feedback and figure out what we want to do next podcast. But we will be back next Friday at 7:30 p.m. PST to 9:30 p.m. PST. The Boy and the Bear podcast, a weekly Friday event, and I hope to see all of you there. It has been an honor, an absolute
#1 podcast on Twitch.
An absolute honor streaming for you guys again, doing this podcast. I want to say thank you to Poon for the great conversation. I feel like we had a very fruitful and positive talk about a lot of important subjects, so I want to say thank you for that.
Thank you, brother.
And I am going to go ahead and host somebody. Let's see. This guy looks hostable. Okay, guys. Love all of you, and have a good day. Adios.
Have a good night, guys. Thanks for coming.